So the first one that we're going to talk about is baking FLoC cookies. So one way to understand federated tracking is to think about the analogy of baking cookies in 1961. Imagine this world without smartphones or the internet. So you first got a sugar cookie recipe from page 152 of the classic. You know this one, right? So this is the classic red-orange Betty Crocker cookbook. And over time, you found, you know what? It tastes better if you add mint chocolate chips and you bake it for less time in the oven. You shared your mint chocolate chip cookies at the office, and everyone loved them. And they begged you for your secret recipe. I mean, since everyone had the same Betty Crocker book, you just wrote down that you followed page 152. And you added mint chocolate chips and you baked it for 10 minutes less. You put it onto a card and you stuck it on a bulletin board so everyone could see it, but it didn't have your name on it. And this is important. It did not have your name. It's just a recipe. So next week, Ethel brought in these pecan cookies. Oh, and they were so good. She put her modifications to page 152 on the board as well. So she talked about what she added, maybe a little bit more cinnamon, a little bit more pecan. She put it onto the board. And soon, over time, the whole board was filled with changes to page 152. Now, the manager came in and said, he looked at this board and said, wow, we should really give these recipes to Betty Crocker. So he asked Yvonne, the secretary, to summarize the board and write a letter to Betty Crocker. Yvonne put the popular cards together, and then she sent them to Betty Crocker, who put those new recipes in the 1962 edition. So the next year, she put those recipes into the new version. Now, it seems like a crazy, weird story, like baking these cookies, but this is what FLoC is. This is what FLoC is. It is a description of how FLoC works. It's kind of like these recipes. There's a model that's sent out, except that instead of baking cookies, the recipe is actually a model of your unconscious online behaviors. It's a way of deciding what your next post should be and what the next video you should watch, or maybe even what the next ad you'll be shown. And so here's two reasons. Well, I'll describe two reasons why this will change the internet as you know it. The first is that millions of people are contributing to the next version of the Betty Crocker cookbook of what you should see next on the internet. But the only person who gets paid is Betty Crocker. Your contributions are mandatory, and your compensation, zero. Your compensation is zero. Betty Crocker is getting filthy rich over your contributions. But technically, since your name was not on the card, you will never see a dime. Your contributions are now the legal property of Betty Crocker. Now, Betty Crocker might say, hey, this is about protecting your privacy. But in reality, the more layers that anonymize your contribution, the less claim you have to Betty Crocker's profits. And this is very important, the less rights you have to correct misinformation about your online identity. And the less rights you have to have information about you removed. You're not really going to be able to remove this information because it's legally it's not your information.